What if you're not missing skill, but sight? What if you're stuck because you can't see what's really happening? You think you see everything, but you're missing the small signals, the power moves, the feelings that drive every choice around you. Marcus Aurelius figured this out 2,000 years ago. He learned to see what others missed, to spot truth under all the noise. I'll show you how to build that same clear vision so you can lead with calm, read people fast, rise above office drama. Because real power isn't about control, it's about seeing clearly. Let me ask you something. Ever sit in a meeting and watch the room change? A look here, a sigh there. You feel like something big just happened, but you can't tell what. That moment you can't explain but feel deep down. That's where real leadership starts. Not with loud voices, not with pushing harder, but with seeing what others don't. Here's the problem. Most people today are drowning in noise. More data, more opinions, more pressure. The result? They react fast but see slow. They miss the small things. Tone, emotion, fear, pushback. When you can't read these signals, you make bad calls. You push when you should pause. You talk when you should listen. You lose trust. Sometimes your chance to lead. But what if I told you there's a different way? You don't need to be louder. You don't need to be tougher. You need to see better. Marcus Aurelius led through war, disease, and betrayal. He didn't rule with force. He ruled with clear sight. He saw things as they really were. Not worse, not better, just true. That's how he stayed calm when others panicked, decisive when others froze. I see this with modern leaders too. When I coach managers, it's never lack of skill that holds them back. It's lack of clarity. They get stuck in reactions, defending, explaining, pushing harder. But the ones who rise, they slow down. They see what's really happening, the hidden reason, the real fear, the feeling under the surface. Then they act with calm focus. Here's what one client told me. I stopped trying to win every meeting. I started watching what people weren't saying. 6 months later, promoted, not because he worked harder, because people trusted his judgment. That's the power of clear sight. Think of driving in fog. Most people hit the gas. They think speed will get them out faster. But smart drivers know better. You slow down. Focus. Wait for the fog to clear. That's when you see the road others miss. So today, we're diving deep. How to read people faster. How to stay calm under pressure. How to lead with quiet strength that earns respect. Without raising your voice, let's start with what seeing deeply actually means, and why most people miss it completely. Chapter number 1, the clarity that changes everything. Ever been in a meeting where everyone agrees, but your gut says this feels wrong? You can't point to it on a slide, can't prove it yet, but you feel it. That quiet voice, that's your mind trying to see what others don't. Most people don't see. They react. They focus on what's right in front of them, the numbers, the deadlines, the noise. But real leaders, they see beneath the surface. When you can't see clearly, you chase symptoms instead of causes. You make fast choices that create slow disasters. Clear sight isn't a luxury, it's survival. So what's the fix? It's not more data, it's stillness. Marcus Aurelius said, "See things as they are. Not worse, not better, just as they are." That's deep seeing, truth without emotion or bias. Let me give you a real example. A project manager led a team rollout for new software. Everything looked perfect on paper. But during meetings, he noticed something. People stopped making eye contact. The energy dropped. Instead of pushing harder, he paused, asked, "What's really going on?" Silence. Then one team member said quietly, "We're afraid this system will replace us." That one moment of clear sight changed everything. They slowed the rollout, retrained the team, turned fear into ownership, all because he chose to see, not just do. Here's the key shift. Before you react, ask yourself, what's really driving this behavior? Is it fear? Pride? Doubt? Once you know the why, the right choice becomes obvious. Clear sight doesn't come from looking harder. It comes from looking quieter. When you slow your mind, the truth gets louder. But once you start seeing things clearly, something happens. You'll notice truths others don't want to face. And that takes courage to say what you see. Chapter number 2. The courage to speak truth. Seeing the truth is one thing. Saying it out loud, that's harder. Here's where most people get stuck. They see a problem but stay quiet. They spot a mistake but don't want to rock the boat. So they nod. They agree. They blend in. And slowly they disappear. If you never speak the truth you see, you become part of the noise you were meant to rise above. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The solution isn't to be louder, it's to be clearer. You don't need to argue, you just need to state the truth calmly. That's real courage, inner strength that doesn't need approval. Picture this. A manager sits in a strategy meeting. Everyone's agreeing to a timeline that's way too tight. He knows it's unrealistic, but everyone's nodding to keep the VP happy. He takes a breath and says, "Can I share a concern? This schedule assumes everything goes perfect, but our tests never go that smooth. If we rush it, we'll pay later." The room goes quiet. The VP frowns. But 2 weeks later, after the first delay hits, that same VP says, "I'm glad you brought that up early." Speaking truth doesn't always win applause, but it builds respect. Here's the simple process. Pause before you speak. Ground yourself. Calm tone, slow breath. Share what you see, not who's to blame. Clarity first, ego last. When you speak truth consistently, people may not always like what you say, but they start to trust you. But here's what happens next. When you speak truth, some will push back, and that's when you discover the strength to stay solid when others push against you. Chapter number 3. Standing strong when others push back. So you've spoken the truth. Now the pushback begins. Notice how people react when their comfort gets shaken? They defend. They blame. They twist. The real test isn't whether you're right. It's whether you can stay centered while others lose it. This is where many leaders break. The moment someone questions them, they fold. Over-explain. Get defensive. Here's the danger. Every time you let pushback throw you off balance, you teach people that pressure works. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be." He meant, the moment you take things personal, you've already lost your peace. So what's the way through? Don't fight the pushback. Absorb it. You listen, you breathe, you hold your ground. You don't mirror their emotion. You model calm. And that calm is what earns you respect. Let me share a quick story. A department head proposed a new workflow system. The team pushed back hard. Too complicated. We've tried that before. This won't work. He didn't argue. He simply said, "I hear you. Let's test one small part first. If it works, we expand. If it doesn't, we stop." 2 weeks later, the test showed results. The same people who fought it became its biggest fans. Why? Because he stayed steady. He didn't fight their fear. He led it. Here's the process. Expect pushback. It's part of change. Breathe before reacting. Focus on progress, not proof. You don't need to win every moment. Just outlast the chaos. Strength isn't built in the storm. It's revealed by it. When others see you stay calm while everything shakes, that's when they start to follow you. But there's a next level. Because leadership isn't just about power, it's about connection. Chapter number 4. Leading with heart and head. Here's something most people get wrong about strength. They think being calm means not feeling. Real leaders feel everything. They just don't let those feelings run the show. In today's world, emotional balance is rare. You've got frustrated coworkers, anxious teams, stressed bosses. If you absorb all that chaos, you burn out. If you block it all out, you become cold. Either way, you lose connection. And connection is what makes people follow you. Marcus Aurelius understood this balance. He wrote, "Today you will meet people who are selfish, angry, jealous, but they are still human, like you." He wasn't saying ignore them. He was saying understand them. Here's the mindset. I can care, but I don't have to carry. You can understand someone's fear without taking it on. You can lead with heart and still keep your head clear. Let me show you how this works. A manager had a team member who was always negative, complained about everything. Most leaders would avoid him or shut him down. Instead, she said, "I can tell this is stressing you out. What part feels most unfair to you?" He froze, because nobody had ever asked that. He shared one real frustration that was easy to fix. Within weeks, his attitude shifted. She didn't overpower him. She understood him. And that built trust faster than any pep talk could. Here's the process. Listen first, not to respond, but to see. Reflect what you hear, calmly. Keep your emotional distance. Empathy, not entanglement. Think of empathy like a thermostat. It senses the temperature, but doesn't become the temperature. That's your job as a leader. Sense the emotional climate. But don't melt or freeze with it. The goal isn't to feel less. It's to feel wisely. Chapter number 5. Seeing the bigger picture. You've learned to see clearly. Speak truth. Stand firm. Stay grounded. Now comes the final step. Learning to see beyond. When you put all of this together, something shifts inside you. You stop living from reaction. You start living from vision. Here's the problem most people face. They get so caught up in tasks and pressure that they forget why they're doing any of it. They lead meetings, but lose meaning. They chase promotions, but miss peace. Without a bigger view, even success feels small. The solution? Step back. See the whole picture. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. He wasn't being dark. He was being awake. When you lead from that view, your choices change. You stop reacting to noise and start responding with purpose. I worked with a project leader who was always stressed. He told me, "I feel like I'm always behind." We stepped back and mapped out his week. Turns out, 70% of his time was spent fixing other people's mistakes. He wasn't leading. He was firefighting. Once he shifted view, saw the system instead of the symptoms, he built a process to prevent those problems. Within a month, his stress dropped by half. He didn't work harder. He saw smarter. Here's the process. Step back before every big choice. Ask, what's the bigger purpose here? Align your action to that purpose, not to fear, ego, or urgency. Think of flying a plane. When you're on the ground, you only see traffic. But from 30,000 feet, you see the whole map. That's perspective. It doesn't remove problems. It puts them in scale. For years, I thought success meant doing more. More hours, more projects, more hustle. Then I started using a simple daily question. What really matters right now? That single question helped me lead and live from purpose, not pressure. And ironically, that's when my work performance improved the most. Here's the realization. The rarest power isn't control. It's perception. When you see clearly, speak truth, stay grounded, and lead with empathy, you stop chasing success and start embodying it. You become the calm in the chaos, the steady voice in the storm, the leader who sees what others don't. You don't need to be louder to lead. You just need to see better. Marcus Aurelius led through chaos with calm eyes. And you can too. The power's already in you. It's the quiet strength to notice, to understand, to act with purpose. If this message hit home, subscribe and join me for more ways to build real presence, at work and at home. Because remember, executive by day, stoic always. See deeper, lead wiser, start today.